Suzuki believes in mastery learning, which is where you get really good at one aspect of something before you move on and learn something else, versus struggling through something over and over and over until it's good. And while both things work, mastery learning, I feel, works a little quicker. So when I began teaching sight reading, I noticed that very few sight reading books used mastery learning. A lot of books expected you to just practice counting up using the mnemonic "Every good boy does fine," and I don't agree with that, and I don't think it's great. There are a growing number of teachers that do not believe in the use of mnemonics to teach sight reading. And here's why. When you get a piece, your child's goal needs to be able to play anything, to be able to sit down and figure out anything that they have in the future. So if they're an adult and they hear a song on the radio and they really want to learn it, their goal should be they can go home, download the music, and figure it out. If you get a piece with a really high note first and you're saying, every good boy does fine. Oh, what note is that? Oh, no, I need to do the line notes one. And then you're counting up like that. Just to play your very first note, that's a lot of work. So in the sight reading book that I use, it starts out very slowly where children are introduced to one note at a time. And the first note they're introduced to is to the G that sits on top of the staff, treble clef G. It's this G. And that's all they have to do for the first few pages is just play that G, learning about how to count to 4 whole notes, holding notes to 4. And then another note, F, is added in. And then they have a bunch of songs with just G and F. So a lot of times people don't set up good sight reading habits right from the beginning. And that's because they feel like, oh, that G it's easy for my child. We don't need to practice that. And with mastery learning, it's really important to set up a good foundation and good sight reading habits right from the beginning of book 2. So it's really important that even if the pieces feel easy, that you and your child set up a really good habit of practicing 1 to 2 pages of sight reading at the end of every single practice. For sight reading, you're allowed to either practice pieces that you've already played for me and that are checked off, or practice pieces ahead for me that we haven't gone through or checked off yet. So your child can actually just keep working their way through the book and keep going if they're really confident with sight reading, or maybe they play another instrument and they already know how to sight read treble clef. They're welcome to just keep working through. So each day they would do a new page with you. And then when it's their lesson time, we'd go back to where they had most recently checked off and go through that together. So for sight reading, it's really important that every single day you do a little bit of sight reading. It's just like when your child was learning to read words. You made sure to read to them or read with them every single day. It opens up this pathway in the brain and reminds you of what the notes mean. So make sure that you start right from the beginning having a good habit at the end of your practice. It'll only take 1 or 2 minutes to do 1 or 2 pages with your child in their sight reading book. Even if you feel like, oh, it's really easy or oh, they're bored, please make sure that you're doing this every single day right from the beginning, and they'll be a fantastic sight reader with a really strong foundation.